showed that they had been thought through well, and these were part of a plan rather than a knee-jerk reaction. I think it was appropriately timed.
All right. We have a caller waiting for us on the telephone. Madam Lim, you have a question.
Good evening, Dr. Ang. I'm Madam Lim of Yishun. I'd like to pose this question to you, okay? Right, say if I happen to have a flu with some slight fever, I go and see my GP. Then, later in the evening, my temperature becomes very high. What should I do? Should I continue my medication or should I call the ambulance?
All right, Madam Lim. Doctor.
The first thing is we should realize that the terrible thing about this particular virus is this virus doesn't give us a clear set of symptoms. And these symptoms also belong to so many other illnesses. So a person could, technically speaking, have two illnesses at the same time. And that gives a headache to everybody, the patient, the GP, even the people in hospital. Answer: if there's a change in your symptoms for any reason, first, pick up the phone and call the GP. If the GP's left for the evening, it's 11 o'clock at night or whatever it is, and it's changed so that you have a high fever and your medicine's not making any difference, I would suggest go to the hospital. And in this day and age, go to a hospital that knows what to do with high fever of uncertain origin. Go straight to Tan Tock Seng. I mean, this is what I would do. The doctors in Singapore, when they are ill and they get a fever and they don't know what's going on, they look for the best possible medical help, and that's Tan Tock Seng.
All right.
Perhaps it's important for us to also take this opportunity to remind our listeners, that our viewers, that we should not doctor hop, because if you can't find your own GP, you either go to the Tan Tock Seng Hospital or you try to contact your own GP rather than look for another doctor and hop, and that will assist in the spreading of the virus.
All right. Sita is waiting for us. Sita, thanks for waiting.
Yes, thank you. Hello?
Yes, Sita, go ahead with your question.
Okay, my comment is that those who abuse home quarantine is irresponsible. The government should take a stricter measure for those who are under home quarantine. Example, that they should move all these people to a remote places, just like in Hong Kong, so that they won't be spreading any more disease to other people.
All right, thank you, Sita. How plausible is this idea then of creating perhaps a SARS camp for people who are infected?
Actually, we hope we'll never have to come to that stage. In fact, if we are able to educate our Singaporeans and urge them, and if they are able to conform to the home quarantine orders, then we do not need to resort to such measures. But the Act does provide for jail terms for people who are recalcitrant breakers of these home quarantine orders. And if they continue to break this order, then we will literally take them away and put them in a jail cell. And it has been prepared. The jail cell has been prepared for recalcitrant breakers.
So a quarantine jail cell.
That's right.
All right. Doctor?
I think we need to be sure of one thing. The people who are at home with home quarantine, they are not SARS patients. They are not ill yet, and they do not necessarily have to fall ill. It's just that they've been exposed to a risk which may make them fall ill. The whole purpose of home quarantine is they stay in a place where they won't infect other people should they fall ill. And the idea is, as soon as they have the first symptoms, as soon as they feel unwell, as soon as the temperature starts rising, they call for help and they seek professional help to make sure that it's not the dreaded virus. In the meantime, if they stay at home, they pose no difficulty to others. That being the case, my personal feeling is I think it would be possibly unfair and unwarranted to create a colony and forcibly separate these people who are technically well and who, by chance very often, have been exposed to the risk of getting infected, not by their own choice. I would not support the establishment of a separate colony. These are people who are not ill.
All right. How about the role of public education? How important is this, Mr. Gan?
From the experience that we've seen, and in fact listening to some of the callers' comments, it is quite evident that public education is very important. Firstly, we have to teach them, show them what they must do, what they must not do in the event of coming down with a fever, how they should react. All these are very important as part of our strategy to contain the spread of the SARS virus. And over and above that, it is also important to provide information to Singaporeans so that they are confident that the government is doing the right thing. And therefore the government, as I mentioned earlier, has chosen to take a very transparent approach to let the people know exactly what is happening in the community and what we are doing so that they have a sense of assurance that things are being managed.
All right, Madam Lee, go ahead with your question, please.
Yeah, because for most of the public in Singapore, we have this fear to go to Tan Tock Seng. Can anybody or government show how safe and how good is Tan Tock Seng now compared to maybe 2 weeks ago? Let's say for myself, if I'm suspect that I have fever, I won't feel safe to go to Tan Tock Seng Hospital because 2 weeks ago there are many nurses and doctors are infected. So can anybody publicize more on this area to make sure that we have confidence in going to Tan Tock Seng to get the checkup done?
All right, thank you, Madam Lee. Doctor?
I think there are a couple of misconceptions here. The first is people with fever who go to Tan Tock Seng are not put into a SARS ward or in a place where there are other SARS patients. They're put into a very large, airy place where they're actually kept apart and they're not put together with people who are known to have SARS. So in the diagnosis place, there is no problem because there are no patients there. What is the chance that the person who sits next to you while waiting might have SARS and then pass it to you? Well, the seats are arranged such that they're far apart enough. We now understand how SARS spreads. Most of the spread is almost certainly because somebody close to you coughs. And when he coughs, the droplets come out, but they fly only a certain distance. This much is known, and the seating arrangement and the other things in Tan Tock Seng are arranged in such a way that these things don't happen. How are we confident about Tan Tock Seng? I'm not from Tan Tock Seng, I'm not an expert in Tan Tock Seng, but from everything I've heard, when we understood the severity of the illness and the way it spread, and about 6 weeks ago, I believe, or perhaps even 2 months ago, new, improved, tightened measures of infection control were put in place in Tan Tock Seng. Since that time, no Tan Tock Seng staff, I understand, has come down with SARS. And these are people who spend, 8, 10, 12, maybe longer hours every day, day after day, in the same ward with people who are very ill with SARS. People who take care of critically ill patients, people very close together. And if these people can remain safe, it means that our understanding of how the disease is spread and the plans and methods we have of preventing the bugs from getting to people is appropriate. So I won't worry about going to Tan Tock Seng. As I said earlier, if a doctor feels ill and he's got a fever, he goes straight to Tan Tock Seng voluntarily.
It seems that there's still a lot of fear and misinformation going on in the public. So that's what we'll talk about after we return from this break. But keep your calls coming in. The number to dial is 6691-0028. We'll hear more from our viewers at home and our guests in the studio as well in just a moment.
Pestbusters has a new 3-step protection process that eradicates cockroaches, provides germicidal space treatment, and sterilizes the air in your workplace. So for a cleaner, safer environment for you and your employees, contact Pestbusters, the people who know all about germ warfare.
A1 brings you your Sunday Prime movie.
Why are they messing with me? Do they think I'm doing this for fun?
From the director of Twister.
If it drops below 50, it blows up. What do you do? What do you do?
And Lethal Weapon 3. Get ready.
Everybody hold on!
For Rush Hour. Keanu Reeves, Dennis Hopper, and Sandra Bullock.
You have a hair trigger aimed at your head. What do you do?
Speed, Sunday at 7 on 5.
This is brought to you by Sharp Plasma Cluster.
Conventional air conditioners cool your home, but they don't act against harmful odors, viruses and mold lurking unseen in every corner. Sharp Plasma Cluster air conditioner does. It generates cluster ions that reach out to every corner of the room to inactivate airborne viruses and mold spores for a safer, healthier home. Sharp Plasma Cluster, the world's first from Sharp.
Nippon 3-in-1 Medifresh gives your home a coat of protection. Its antibacterial formula is proven to safeguard your loved ones from harmful bacteria such as MRSA and E. coli. In fact, it is used in clinics, schools, and childcare centers. It also covers hairline cracks, and it's washable and waterproof too. Nippon 3-in-1 Medifresh, the antibacterial paint that protects.
Hello, checking on the headlines this hour. Singapore's Infectious Diseases Act has been expanded and toughened to better tackle the SARS outbreak. With the new changes, people who break home quarantine will be tagged or even arrested and detained, and they can be fined up to $5,000. Contaminated areas can also be quarantined. Suspected sources of infection, like the water supply, sewage system, or goods, can also be destroyed. Now, those who refuse to cooperate or provide false or misleading information will face a $10,000 fine and jail of up to 6 months. Health authorities can also, in some suspected deaths, order a post-mortem or even disallow a funeral wake. China has reported 5 new SARS deaths, raising the mainland's death toll to 115. 180 new cases have also been reported, and that takes the total number of SARS cases in China to more than 2,600. Over in Hong Kong, 6 more people have died, pushing the toll to 115. 22 more have been infected. In other news now, China has confirmed that trilateral talks with the US and North Korea on Pyongyang's nuclear ambitions have ended. It's believed that US and North Korean officials did not meet today. They met separately with Chinese officials. Tensions have risen after Pyongyang reportedly admitted it has nuclear weapons. It also hinted that it might sell or use them, depending on US action. It's not clear why North Korean officials did not hold talks with the US side, but at least one report said they had ended earlier because of SARS. Former Iraqi Deputy Prime Minister Tariq Aziz is now in US custody. He is said to have given himself up. Mr. Aziz played a leading role in making Iraq's case on the international scene. He was number 43 on the list of 55 most wanted Iraqi officials. And join me in just under an hour for Primetime News. I'll see you later.